In this video, I'm going to look at how to use Rubrics, the Speedgrader, and the dashboard over here on the left in one kind of cohesive system to keep grading and student work all organized, as well as how to use these things to grade and provide detailed feedback to students in a timely manner and in a way that is not going to take an unreasonable or an unfeasible amount of time. So I've got just a shell assignment here, and the first thing we're going to do is attach a rubric. Okay, so if you look down here, you hit the plus rubric, and it gives you this default rubric here. So I'm going to call this lab report rubric, and what I can do here is I can add my different criteria. Okay, so maybe this is the introduction. Okay, and over here, let's say data analysis. And so I can add as many of these as I want. Okay, and let's say conclusion. Over here, I can decide how many points each criteria is going to be worth in total. So let's say my conclusion is the most important thing, so I'm going to make that worth 50, but then maybe over here these will be worth 25 points each. Okay? And over here in the ratings, I set the different levels of points that they can get. So, and I can set them different values and name them different things. So I'm going to call this one expert. I can do this for the others. And so they get an expert rating for the introduction. They would get 25 points. Okay? But let's say I want a few other, something in between full credit and no credit. So I hit the plus sign here, and let's call this proficient. Okay? And let's make that worth 20 points. Okay? And I'll do the same over here, proficient, make that worth 20. And let's do it over here for the conclusion. Oops, wrong button. Go. Proficient. And let's make that worth 40 out of 50 points. Okay. And I could add as many of these as I want. Oh, oops, I did that incorrectly. Let's make that worth 25. I edited my expert one instead of adding a proficient one. Here we go. Proficient 20. There. So again, I could add as many of these ratings as I want at whatever point values I want. Okay, but when I'm done, I go down here, and I've got three different options that need to make sure you take into account. This first option here, to put it shortly, I don't really like it. It takes away, it does not allow you to do a feature that I'm going to show you in the Speedgrader, so I don't ever use it. This right here is really important because when you are using the Speedgrader and the rubric to grade, it's not going to automatically take the rubric grade and apply it to the assignment grade. So if you want this rubric to be able to used as an actual grade, then you have to check this box. And if that doesn't make sense to you right now, that's okay. I'll talk about it when we're in the Speedgrader. And once you're done, hit Create Rubric. This sometimes happens if the rubric total points don't add up to the points that you set in the assignment. So I didn't set a total number of points for my assignment. I accidentally left it at 0. But Canvas says, hey, if you're going to use this rubric that is worth 100 points to grade, you need to make sure your assignment is also worth 100 points. And so it allows you, so it catches that for you, and then it changed it for me. Okay, so this is the first part, creating a rubric. And the great thing is that once you create a rubric, you can import it into other assignments. So if I go to another assignment, let's say I'm going to look at another lab, and I've already got one attached here, But what I can do is I'll click that plus rubric button, and I go over here to find a rubric. And if I look right here, bam, there's the rubric that I just made. Okay. So what we're going to look at next is the Speedgrader, and as well as the dashboard. Okay, so if I click dashboard, there's all my classes here, and what you see over here on the right is a list of assignments that students have turned in. Okay, so here I've got 44 students that have submitted the first lab, and but over here I've only got 5 students that have submitted the kinematics DMV assignment. And so this to-do list is really nice because it orders things by due date, so that you have the longest outstanding things at the top of your list. And so this is why it's also good to if you have students turn everything in through Canvas, because then all of your grading is organized, and all the things that you have to grade, it's all organized right here on the dashboard. I will go over how to have students turn in handwritten work through Canvas on another video. So let's say I'm sitting down, I'm ready to grade. I click this and it takes me to the Speedgrader. And what it does is it takes me to the very first student's work that's ungraded. Okay, I can select a different student by clicking the name up here and scrolling down. An orange dot means that is an ungraded submission. The check means that there is a grade. And if their name is grayed out, it means they haven't turned in anything yet. There's no submission in Canvas. Okay. By default, it shows you all the sections of your class, but if you go over here, it's a little finicky, but if you go over here, you can choose which section you want to view. Okay. So the Speedgrader is really great because it's very speedy. It lets you do these things really quickly. Okay. So first off, this was a Microsoft Word file that the student submitted, and so I can see their file here. Okay. Now, what I can do over here is click View Rubric, and voila, I have an actual lab report rubric that I have made up previously. Okay. Now, it's kind of big. I don't have a lot of room here, so I can drag this over and make it long, so I can see everything. So now what I can do is I can go through here. Now in this instance, I only had students do a couple of parts of this. So I can go through here, I can look at her analysis, and I can, based on my criteria, assign a rating here. Okay, let's say 21. And go through here. Okay, let's go to the conclusion. And so I can go through here and just check all of these boxes here. Okay, and it will automatically move the point values over here. Okay. And let's just do all of this, and when I'm done with this, I can hit save. And this is what I was talking about earlier about the rubric points transferring to the grade. If you checked that box, it said use rubric for grading, or whatever it said, it'll take this 86, and it will, once you hit save, it'll take that 86 and it'll plug it into the student's grade. Okay. So now I didn't check that box for this assignment for some other reason, and so for me it didn't transfer that grade. But if I had checked that box, the student would be showing an 86 right here. Okay. The reason I didn't check that box is that I'm only grading them on 2 sections of the lab report, so I have to calculate the grade in a different way. Okay. So some other things that are really great you can do with the rubric. So let's say for analysis, I want to tell the student how they can do better next time. I go over here, I click additional comments, and I can start typing. Here is a useful feedback comment. I hit update comments, and so later on, after I've finished grading, she will be able to see all the comments that I've left, and they'll all be attached to that particular section of the rubric. So she'll in her phone, or on Canvas Online, on a web browser, she will see the analysis section, and then attached to the analysis section, she'll see the comment that I left for analysis. Okay, so it's a really great way of organizing all of the feedback that you need to give. Okay, and so once I've checked all the boxes here, and I've made sure that you hit update comment, okay, for each comment, and when you hit save, that will save all the scores and all the comments. Okay, now this is an actual student submission, and I don't want this grade for her. Since I'm just doing this randomly, I'm going to take all of that away, save it, so she doesn't know the difference. Okay. Some other ways you can leave feedback. You can go down here to assignment comments, and you can add a comment. You can attach videos. You can do text or speech to text. So I can hit that, hit record. I'll have to allow it use the microphone. So I've hit record, comma, and what it's doing now is transcribing my voice and putting it into text, period. The one issue here is that, oh, it didn't do that this time, period. It used to, comma, once you stopped talking, it wouldn't let you talk again, period. But it seems that they've improved this feature, period. So that's pretty great, period. Okay, I hit stop, and it has put that comment there, and so I'm good to just hit submit. Okay, now I'm not going to submit because it's not a real comment for her, so I'll delete. And you can also add file attachments, you know, if you wanted to attach, you know, the assignment or whatever you want to attach. Okay. Now some other things that you can do with Speedgrader. There are a lot of hotkeys. Okay. So if you go over here, you can see these keyboard shortcuts or hotkeys, and stuff like this is really great for shaving off a few seconds here and there for grading something. And when you shave off a few seconds 130 times, that adds up. That can save you an hour or two or more. Okay, so I can use J and K to go back and forth between students. Okay, I can use G to put my cursor in the grade. Okay, I can use the R key to show the rubric part down here or hide it. I can also use the C key to jump down to the comment box. Okay, so a lot of little shortcuts that if you take a little while to learn them, as I said, over time, it can save you hours of work, even though it's only maybe a few seconds for each student submission. Okay? The last thing I want to look at is actually marking up student papers within Speedgrader, and if you've ever used Turnitin to grade papers, it's a very similar function. Okay. The unfortunate part about marking up the paper is that students can't really see that on their phones. They have to access Canvas through a web browser to see. And even if they access the web browser on their phone, it's really squished, and it's just hard for them to deal with. So I prefer to do all of my feedback through typed comments, because that's a lot easier and much more clear on the phone. But I still want to go over these options here. So these different tools are different ways of marking up a student's paper and leaving a comment. So a point annotation says, okay, maybe there was a grammar mistake right here. Okay. So let's say that was a comma instead of a period. I could say, need to put a period here instead of a comma. Okay. And I click outside the box, and there's that comment. Okay. Now, again, I don't want to mark up her paper, so because this is a real student's paper, I'll delete. Okay. Now, because she has submitted a Microsoft Word file, I can highlight certain portions of text, and so then I can say, wow, you did a fantastic job explaining the slope here. Okay, and so what she will see when she's looking at this on a web browser, she will see the text highlighted, and then she will see the comment right here. Okay, and she actually did do a really great job of explaining that. I can leave text, like a text comment. So over here, I can say, "You did a great job explaining here." And say I want to make it a different color, so when she looks at it, it's easier for her to see. And so what she'll see is just that little text box right there. And all of these I can move around if I didn't place them correctly the first time. The strikeout annotation is kind of like the highlight, except it lets you highlight text and strike it out. Again, and you can leave a comment here. Let's delete these. And the last two, this is a free draw annotation, so I can just draw whatever. Okay. Now with the drawing, I can either just hit the check mark to leave the drawing if I don't want to leave a comment, or I can click the box here to leave a comment that links to this drawing. Okay. And the last one is the area annotation. So let's say, I can highlight this paragraph and said, "You have greatly improved with your data analysis." And so what she will see, again, is that little box. I can change the color if I want. And she'll see that box with the comment right next to it. Some other things they can do here. So if she's looking at this on a computer, we can have a comment thread here. She can reply, I can respond, and we can keep the feedback nice and organized. Students can also respond to comments over here. So let's say I leave some feedback and she has a question later on, she can leave her own comment and we can have our own little organized comment thread here. And so I really like the combination of Speedgrader, Rubrics, and the annotations here, in that it allows me to actually give the kind of feedback that we all know students need, but that we also know we just don't have time to do that for over 100 students for some of us. And so if you take the time to learn the system in and out, it allows you to give that feedback, but also not take up an unreasonable amount of time and not be at the expense of your other duties and your other things that you need to do as a teacher. So I hope you found this video helpful. As always, if you have any questions about this or anything else to do with Canvas, please come see me. I'm in room 2311. You can also shoot me an email, trevor.register, and I will do whatever I can to help out.